definitely, it's like two extremes. Like I'm either in my studio just sitting there like a rock, or I'm like on stage going absolutely wild. And so I think that those are both my element for sure. So my name is Devin Dyer. I go by To Die For, and I'm from the Bay Area in California. So I started DJing in 2019. I went to a guitar center and was like trying out all the controllers. I was like, this looks really overwhelming and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do it. The cheapest controller was like $250, so I saved up about that, and I have some old videos of myself like in my bedroom DJing on this like super tiny little controller. But that's where I started from, and I started DJing and I had wanted to produce, but again I was like, that looks really overwhelming, and I was right about that one. That was a lot starting out. But I started producing probably a little over a year ago now. I was a dancer growing up from the age of like 2 probably to my later teenage years. I was trained in like classical ballet, and I did contemporary and jazz and like all of the different types of dance. I think that was awesome because it was like what I grew up with. It was a great way to express myself, and I started doing like hip-hop classes, and there'd be a lot of dubstep in the hip-hop classes, and I thought that that was always super cool. Being a kid, or not a kid, but like a young teenager, and hearing like Skrillex for the first time, like Scary Monsters and Nice Sprites, that sounds so silly, but that literally changed the trajectory of my life, because I heard that and I was like, how is that possible? Like, that's insane. And so I always had an interest in it. I love to like sing in the shower and stuff like that, but I have a terrible voice. So I knew that if I was gonna do music, I had to find a way to express myself in other ways, and I think that this is kind of where it led me. But I do think that I fall into like the heavy, like 150, like I guess headbanger dubstep. That's what I've always loved and always listened to. Like how I said Skrillex was like life-changing for me, so was Excision. Like that opened so many doors. My mom has definitely been the most supportive. My grandparents too, but it's a little bit hard for them to understand that this is like an actual career that people do, and you know, you're not clocking in 9 to 5, and you're not like, you know, you're not doing like spreadsheets and billing and stuff like that, because those are all the jobs that they had. And so I think that was a little bit hard for them to understand, and they're coming around to it more. But my mom was an artist her whole life too, and so she got it immediately. She was like, yep, that's my girl. So the hardest thing for me for sure was like, I have so many ideas in my head and they sound amazing, and then I open up Ableton and I'm like, I don't know how the fuck to make this like that. There's no way to translate this onto my DAW. And so I've gotten to the point now where I feel like I'm a lot more comfortable doing that, and it's much more of a streamlined process. But in the beginning, it was like super, super frustrating. And of course, like there's great resources. You have YouTube. I recommend for anyone starting out to find a mentor and do a mentorship program. That's a little bit more expensive than YouTube because YouTube's free, but it's definitely worth it. And that's helped me grow more than anything, honestly. I went through this artist that I'd been following and like listening to for a while, and one day on his story, he was just like, oh, I have one more spot for mentorship. And I was like, I think I have to full send that, because I don't know if I'm ever gonna have an opportunity like that again. And I haven't looked back. I've been doing that for probably 6 months now, and I think that in the last 6 months I've made much better strides than I was before that, when I was just learning on YouTube. There will be certain instances like of things that get under your skin. Like for me, when I would post like a clip that I'm working on, or like send a song to a group of friends, and then that one person is like, blah, 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 unsolicited advice, you should be doing this. And I listen to their music and I'm like, you need to take your own advice, because you're telling me this, and I know that you're not just like swiping up on your bros stories and being like, you need to sidechain this harder, blah, blah. Anyways, there's just gonna be some things that guys do, and they might be doing it intentionally, they might not, but either way, it just comes off that way to us as women. Take it with a fucking grain of salt, because it sucks and they're annoying, and you can pop off on them, of course, but like they're always going to be that way. And I want to just say that, like, if you're a girl and you're hot, then you're a girl and you're hot, and you're also talented, and like that doesn't need to be the fucking only thing that people know about you. And there's going to be people out there that are going to say that shit, and they're going to be like, oh, well, like, you know, she just got that time slot because she's pretty, or whatever they want to say. But the important thing is, like, you know the work that you're putting into it. You know how talented you are. I know the work I'm putting into it. I know how talented I am. And so fucking what? Like, if I look good, like, I should be allowed to feel pretty and also feel accomplished and proud of myself and feel like my opportunities are what they need to be, because there's never going to be, like, well, I don't want to say never, but there's not full equality in this scene, obviously, especially when you go into, like, the bass music subgenres. So I think that, like, the most important thing is just, like, I want to be recognized for my talents, and I want to be recognized because I worked really fucking hard to get here, not because some fucking guy thinks I'm pretty and thinks that that's why I'm getting where I am. So definitely stand your ground, and don't let people, like, fuck you over just because they know that they can take advantage of you. Don't pay any mind to people that are little fucking Twitter gremlins and are like, she doesn't produce, or she is a ghost producer, or like anything that you have ever heard that is against women in the scene. Like, do your best to just pay no mind to it, because it's always going to be like that, and I would love for it to be any different, but as long as I've been in the scene, I know that that's how it is. That's the crowd that it attracts. And there's so many DJs out there, like, not to get all political, but like, you have these main stage DJs that are known abusers, and we let them get away with it, and the scene is just fine with it because money talks, and that's just how it is. And so for that, I want to say I think it's important that women really, like, follow their passions and do what they want to do and make it to the top, because I think our scene would be a lot better off if we had more women in positions of power, and especially, like, behind the scenes stuff, you know, like more promoters and more women in marketing and, like, A&Rs and every aspect of the scene. I think that we could use with a lot more women, and I know that women are out there doing it, so keep killing it and work your way up there, because we need it, and we'll be a lot better off when we have women doing those kind of things.